Hi everybody, it's Adam Harris here from AsIAm, Ireland's autism charity, and I was delighted to be asked by the Irish Parents Council, the National Parents Council I should say, to just give a couple of tips for parents supporting their children presently at home in continuing their learning during the lockdown. And there's a few things that I wanted to say that hopefully will be helpful. I should say as well, if you're a parent of an autistic student and you're struggling at the moment or you want to access more resources, if you go to asiam.ie, we have a COVID-19 section of our website and we're publishing weekly webinars. One of the webinars that's available was specifically about changing COVID-19 and getting up a new educational routine, so that's available to you. And the one we published yesterday was all about self-regulation. So how can you regulate yourself, manage yourself, stay organised when in a home environment. These are hopefully helpful to you and we're going to be continuing to do that. So if you're having particular issues, don't feel you can't get in touch, we're still working. Or if there's any particular resources you'd like to see developed, we can do that too, so just ask. But just for this evening, I wanted to share 6 tips with you that I thought would be helpful or handy if you were supporting your child on the spectrum continuing to learn at home. So the first thing is that just because we don't have our usual school day structure, it doesn't mean that we can't still have structure. And it is really, really important from an autism point of view that a structure and a routine is maintained. I think it's good for everyone, but it's particularly important for those of us who are on the spectrum. So try and keep meals at the same time every day. Try and keep, for example, if there's already a school timetable, try and stick to that as far as you can, or do activities in a similar sequence so that people know that this time of the day I'm working, and when I'm working I'm doing this activity, then I'm moving to my break time, then I'm going to go and do another bit of work, so that there is a clear structure and schedule to the day. I think that's really, really important. And as far as possible to try and keep those, for example, schoolwork to the same time, to the same part of the house for the same periods of time. I think what's really helpful is it's very hard, the second one I suppose, to know what's going to happen. So one of the things that many autistic people struggle with is the what ifs and the uncertainty of what's going to happen next in a sequence and dealing with that. That can be hard in a typical school day, but when we're all at home now and there really is no timetable, there really is no routine, that's a big problem. So I think it's a good idea to develop a timetable for the day that's visual, that your child can see, and they can see the order and sequence things are going to happen in, and you can remove that as you go through the day. That's really helpful, and it removes that sense of the unknown and gives people that comfort and that certainty that's so important. I think having a designated workspace is really, really important. It might be a particular table, it might be a particular room in the house. If possible, and it's not always possible, it's a good idea to avoid the bedroom or avoid where we eat, so it is a designated clear place, and that makes a benefit from a sensory point of view. If that's not possible, maybe have something visual to denote that work is taking place. So maybe there's a clock, for example, or a timer on the desk when we're in work mode. But try and have a specific space and try and set it up in a way that meets your child's sensory needs. One of the things I'd recommend is if you go to the AsIAm website, you can access a sensory checklist. We often think about autism-friendly practices in school or even in the community. We often don't think about there could be a lot of triggers or challenges in our own houses. Number 4, I think is really important, is to take regular breaks. Autistic people, obviously when in school, often need movement breaks. Probably going to even more need those regulation opportunities at present. So I really recommend trying to find opportunities throughout the day to go outside into your garden or within the radius that you're permitted and get movement breaks and get activities. Really do check out our webinar with some of the little ideas, from breathing exercises to things you can do with your hands or with your feet, just to regulate yourself as you go through the day. Then I think the other thing that's important is choice. So autistic people, if we only had 2 words to talk about autism, we could talk about predictability and control. Not being able to predict, so not feeling in control. So the more you can do to give that person a sense of control, the easier it is to manage. And one of the things that I would encourage as a result is maybe when designing your daily schedule or your weekly schedule, providing an element of choice. So for example, we are going to be working now, but you want to do English or maths at this time. Maybe it's not possible to what you want to avoid is that the person only obviously does the things they want to do. So even if you pick 2 things the person isn't very interested in, link them to the person's strengths. So if the person's interested in football, maybe we can use that for a maths class, or we can make it about an English activity, an English essay. So I think what it's about is using the person's strengths to put a positive spin where necessary. But I think giving choice is really important because the person then feels in control and it's not all negative. Let's be honest, we all like to have choice. The final thing, and I think this is the most important thing that I can tell you, is to be kind to yourself. people aren't going to be as productive as we are when we're in school. It can be really challenging, I think, just all that's going on at the moment. The rules keep changing, and that's one of the most challenging things for autistic people. And certainly we're hearing from a lot of families who are finding this time hard going, who really are worried as well about what it's going to be like to get back into school routine. So I would encourage people to take it one day at a time. There'll be good days and bad days. Maybe there'll be a day where a child doesn't feel up to working. And I think we need to cut ourselves some slack and remember that as well, because it is a hard time for everyone, but I think particularly for families in our community. As a result, we do need to be mindful of what are the expectations, because we can't have the same expectations that we would have had for our son or daughter when they were in a really structured school routine that we do now in this very difficult time. Maybe something, if you haven't looked it up before, is to look up Maya Toudal, that's Maja, and Toudal, Toudal, who's an autistic psychologist who's worked up a concept of energy accounting. So really trying to, in a concrete way, look at a person's energy levels, what they're able to manage at a given time, and setting expectations accordingly. Hope this is helpful. We're always here. We'll be in touch with the National Parents Council as this proceeds, but also if we can ever help, AsIAm.ie, info@asiam.ie. Thank you.